rising. Happy day. Good morning. Hey, my loves. It's the early morning here in Miami, and I don't have much time, but there is something pretty specific on my heart that I would like to vent about a little bit. It's not real venting, like I'm not about to emotionally dump, but rather there's a topic that I did speak about recently, and I'm probably going to take that video off the internet and put it in my video portal because it's a bit personal. But there's an aspect of that video, there's one aspect of that video that I want to extrapolate on. I want to take some time and just improvise and speak on it a little bit. So thanks for holding space for me. I titled this video, Venting About Being an Older Sibling. So if you are an older sibling, then this might bring you some relief, especially if you are an older sister. I cannot confirm that this is accurate for older brothers at all. In fact, if you're an older brother, this might not resonate at all because this is indeed about being an older sister. Try not to genderize this work too much, but this is an older sister video for the older sisters. Okay, so I'm an older sibling. I'm an older sister. That means I was changing diapers before I hit puberty. I'm an eldest sister. So that means I was the default babysitter in my household for my younger siblings. I'm an older sister. So I never partied or went out or had fun or tried experimental things as a teenager because I was the default babysitter and person who gave rides to my younger siblings. I'm an older sister. So I was the one who, when my mom didn't want to cook, when my mom didn't want to make a sandwich for one of the boys in the house, I was the default person to make the sandwich. It wasn't my brothers will make a sandwich for themselves. It was if mom doesn't want to, the older sister will. I'm an older sister. I've experienced parentification in childhood. And I am happy to have done so, to have experienced that rather. It was my honor to assist my parents in keeping the kids and the house together as a kid. Instead of being joyous and lighthearted and skipping around and getting to just be a child, I was also parentified and was changing diapers before I hit puberty and couldn't think about being a rebellious child because I was worried about my younger siblings. I love that I had the opportunity to be a part of a community at such a young age. I'm glad I had the opportunity to collaborate, to compromise, and to even a little bit sacrifice for the members of my family and for the members of my community at such a young age in being an older sibling. And with that said, as an adult, I'm so happy to reclaim my life and start to be the older sibling to myself and to you all, right? Obviously, I always come through with the older sister energy here for you. It's my honor, my pleasure, and it's natural for me. But showing up as an older sister for myself, making the sandwich for myself, you know? I mean, I'm not changing my own diaper. That doesn't make any sense. But, living at this point in my life, you know, being an adult, moving out of the town that I grew up in, moving out of my parents' house at 18, those things provided me the opportunity to start to build my own semblance of the world as an individual rather than as a part to a whole, where my part in the whole was a service-oriented part. Where, like, I was born as into a large family with many siblings as the only girl and as an older sibling, daughter, as the eldest daughter. I was born into that, and therefore I was born into like a live-in nanny, a live-in babysitter, a live-in snack maker when mom doesn't want to make the food. She literally birthed the babysitter for her younger children, my mom. She birthed the babysitter. I was born and I had a job. I didn't know I had a job, but the life that I was socialized into I was gonna say groomed, but that sounds creepy. The light that I was socialized into was a service-oriented role. I was born and my first memories of being a kid were service-oriented, helping with my younger siblings. Where when I flip the script, when I put myself in the shoes of my younger siblings, how interesting and what a privilege to be born into the world where you have older siblings, where the default is that they will serve you and take care of you. What an incredible feeling that must be as a younger sibling to me, to have been in the world and known that it wasn't just your mom and your grandmas and your aunties and the adults in your life that were serving you, but it was also your older sister was there to serve you. And again, I'm a Virgo moon. So I'm like, it was my honor to have such a high level of responsibility as a kid. It was my honor to be able to help out as a kid. That was a huge element of my identity as a child. And it's been coming up a lot lately for me and in my videos for you all. And I'm not the only older sister of younger siblings out there. And then it turns out that like most of you are older sisters. It's like, okay. So I get it. I get it why it comes up to be spoken about. But what a deal. What a deal. What a deal for my parents to have a daughter, to have an older daughter for their siblings, for their children. What a deal. Never paid for a babysitter. Never paid for a babysitter. Never had to worry that there wouldn't be someone to make dad or the older brother a sandwich if mom didn't want to. Right? Built in, service maid. I'm not saying I was a maid. I just had chores like every other kid. I wasn't like abused and like Cinderella. No. I got a great life. Tons of dance class every fucking day. Just my whole life I was like a professional dancer since I was a child. Why do you think I approached dance with such a professional mindset as a child? Because I was parentified. Because I was full-time, baby. I was clocked in. I was clocked in as caregiver number 3 in my head as a child. So that adult energy, that sense of responsibility affected other aspects of my life. So I didn't just enjoy dance as a fun extracurricular. It was my career. I was 11 years old, an apprentice in a dance company, looking across the studio and being like, this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to be that lady. I want to be that choreographer. I want to have my own studio. I want to have my own dance company. I want to guide a group of people and take them on tour. I was 11 years old when I made that first dream, which I satisfied, by the way. I already lived that dream. That's what my whole 20s were. So I'm not saying shit on your childhood dreams. I'm just reflecting on how that seriousness of my childhood and being parentified and being the older sister and that sense of responsibility was not just sequestered to that aspect of my life, and that sense of responsibility and maturity echoed into how I thought and perceived everything in my life. I wasn't able to just be an innocent baby girl here and then an older sibling there. No, everything was affected by that higher level of maturity that I was being asked to perform on compared to my 3 other siblings. I'm reading your comments. Thank you for the confirmation. And also, I love you and we're in this together. And so again, it's like if you're there, if you're in that right now, the older sibling who's parentified, it's like, move out. If you don't want that, move out. If you don't want that, move out. Because living in the family home, you're a part of a community and everyone does have a role. And you can negotiate with the authorities in your community to shift your role. But if it requires them to have to hire an outside source, if you shift your role, they're probably not going to support you in the shift that you want within the community. and it might just be better for you to shift out altogether. Someone asked if I still have a good relationship with my siblings, my younger siblings. I love them. I love them like my brothers and my sons. My younger siblings, I love them like my little brothers and my sons. I look at them and I feel like, especially my youngest sibling that I'm 10 years older than, I look at him and I feel like he's my baby. He's my baby. And that's why parentified eldest daughters oftentimes do not have kids right away. We want to hang on to the time in our life when no one fucking needs us. When we are a grown-ass, independent adult, no longer a part of a community that we have to prioritize over ourselves. When you're a grown-ass, independent adult where you've moved out of your family home, you're living your own independent adult life. Like, this is an amazing feeling. I'm not in a rush to get into another serious relationship, and I'm not in a rush to have kids because I know what that's like. I grew up in a community where that was there, and I was participating in it. I was helping, and it was a lot of work. Kids are a lot of work. And witnessing kids grow up and to become thankless adults. Witnessing my younger siblings grow up, and both of them go through a phase where they did not appreciate my parents like at all. Witnessing my siblings who my parents did everything in their power to give an incredible childhood, including putting the eldest daughter to work. We did everything in our power to give them a good childhood, a good life, and still they all went through a quite extended phase where they were thankless. They were not appreciative of my parents. They felt like my parents should still have done more. When it's like, bro, I was there. We were all working really fucking hard, and you still don't fucking appreciate? Damn, I'm glad I'm not the parent. Can't imagine how my mom feels, feeling disrespected and unappreciated by the boys that she gave everything for. Like, damn, being a mom isn't all that it's cut out to be. That's what I saw as an older sibling who grew up into an adult. Like, damn, I mean, the babies are cute, and it's such a special feeling to be loved by someone else, and the love of your child or the love of a baby that you're taking care of. Oh, it's so pure, right? It's so wonderful. It almost feels like magic having that opportunity. So again, I don't wish I had a different childhood, taking care of my younger siblings. It was special. And being a part of a community, we are communal beings. That's special. That has an impact on you. I have an ability to navigate group environments and small communities. I have an ability to navigate particular dynamics quite well because of how I grew up. So again, not hating on my childhood, but I am looking at my current lifestyle. And it's so funny how those of us who are eldest daughters don't have kids because we got to already have kids once. We got to see the results. And how some people, they have an energy, or they act like, you're going to have kids, and then, the kids, you're going to love them and love them and love them, and the kids are going to turn around and love you and love you and love you. And it's like, it's not really that black and white. The kids might not like you. What if they don't like you? What if there are other influences? So if you have kids banking on how you're going to finally get the words of affirmation you always wanted from your kids or some weird shit, it's really a selfless act. There's no guarantee that they're going to give you anything. So, I just am not in any rush. And I feel the great value in this part of my life where I am my community. My community is me and my pet, my cat. That's the community. And what's so interesting is I'm glad that I have this feeling, this moment, at this part in my life where I've been alive for so long now. Because now people in my family who made different choices, who previously 10 years ago, if I would have been in this energy, they would have been like, oh, it's so sad that you're alone. It's so sad that you're alone. It's so sad that you're alone. But now, at this age, and the fact that I get this chapter at this age and level of confidence and self-love that I have, like embodiment that I have, instead my family's like, you're so lucky. My family's like, man, kids are hard. Kids are hard. You're so lucky you don't have any. Man, relationships are hard. You're so lucky you're single. That's the shit that I hear now. You're so lucky. You're so lucky that you're an individual, independent person who lives alone with no attachments. You're so lucky. That's what everyone's saying to me now. And it's like, I know, because I've never been this before. I have always had people who needed me. Not just, oh, they'd benefit if I could help. It'd be nice if you would help. No, they needed me. It was my job. It was my responsibility. Doesn't matter how I felt. I had to do those things. Not anymore. And so if you're an older sister and you're still in the community of your family, I'm not telling you to do anything about it, okay? You got to decide what you're going to do for yourself and how you want to live. And being a part of a community is extremely satisfying. But perhaps you're in some kind of transition as an older sister and this message reaches you. I want you to know that the separation from the rest of society, and if you find yourself in a place where you are like an island, that happens on purpose. And every child who is an only child, every child who didn't have to be parentified, experienced that joy of being an island where they could play in their own imagination and be joyous and experience innocence in the safety of their home with their own independent imagination. Whereas parentified children, they had to be clocked in. They had to be, I was gonna say on the ball, but they had to be clocked in. So when you have to be clocked in as a caregiver, as a child, you miss out on a certain amount of growing as an independent person, and you will get your opportunity as an adult to have that experience. If you want it, you will. You will. Just because you missed out as a child. Because guess what? Other people, while they were being kids and getting to be innocent and, not clocked in their families, they will grow up with other weaknesses and with other things they don't know how to navigate. But us, parentified children, we're like really good at keeping a job. Like all of that maturity that we had to attain as a child, all of that benefits us. So older siblings, older sisters, life is pretty good, right? All that older siblinging really helps. Really helps. But you just don't really know how to have fun. You just don't know how to let go and giggle. Like you can't just frolic. It's like you really need a whole field of flowers, right? And so that's what I want you, older sisters, older siblings, to start to notice. Is how, other people who got to experience joy and innocence in childhood and didn't have to be clocked in, some of those people can just frolic anywhere. They can feel lighthearted anywhere. I want you to think about like an animal getting the zoomies. When you're home alone, girls, and you randomly get the zoomies and you're like, ah, blah, blah, blah. You zoom around your house all of a sudden, twerk, randomly. Some people, they get that out in the world. They just feel joy and they're like, ah, yes. And they can just start spinning in the grocery store. Ah, I love this song. They can hear a song, they can just start dancing. Some people can just show up in the world and they don't have to worry about what other people think. They don't have to worry about how they look, if they're doing a good job. They don't have to worry about that because they didn't have to be clocked in as kids. And so now there's this feeling like there's some other ghost job that you have as an adult when you're a parentified child, and you feel like you can never really, not let your guard down, because that's just too general of a word. You feel like you can't ever clock out. Because if you're a kid babysitting a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, you're following that 2-year-old around. If I'm 9 years old, babysitting a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old who's crawling around, who's toddling around, you can't leave them alone for a second. You're clocked in. You're clocked the fuck in. That's the age when you're supposed to be like, I don't know what the fuck you're supposed to be doing, because I was babysitting. And taking dance way too seriously. But it's okay, I like my life. Just saying. So now, and thank you for the confirmation, as an older sibling, out in the world, with no babies to take care of, and no people to make a sandwich for, it's like you're born into a service role. You're born into like this service energy. And if you get the opportunity to not be needed in that capacity anymore so that you can move on to your next chapter, like me, I turned 18, I wanted to go to college, so I got my scholarships and I went. And I never went back. Still love my family, have different dynamics with my family, but they just couldn't depend on me anymore after I moved out. And they shifted the structure in the community so that they didn't need me. And it was fine, because luckily, my family's pretty healthy, so my parents were like, okay, you want to go to college? Great, amazing, okay. You got scholarships? Great, amazing, okay. Okay, my dad's like, I think it's too soon, but I guess I can't stop you. You know, it's like, no one was like, you gotta stay here and babysit your brothers. No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. My community was quite large, so I have a really big family, so. People shifted, things shifted around. But let me tell you, after moving out of my parents' house and living in Miami, 18, 19 years old, my first couple years, and experiencing that release and relief inside of me, like I'm far enough away that no one's gonna call me to give my little brother a ride. No one's gonna call me if they need help. No one's gonna call me if I have to make someone a sandwich. No one's gonna call me if I gotta pick someone up. No one's gonna call me for those little favors anymore, which can sound selfish, but that's what's needed when you have never had the opportunity to put yourself first before, right? So I moved out and I felt a relief. Suddenly I wasn't in this service-oriented role for the first time ever. No one needed me to do anything for them. And that was really weird. For the first time ever at 18 years old, no one needing anything from me. I didn't have to worry that I'm afraid to leave my room because if I go in the kitchen, they're going to remember that I'm there and they're going to ask me to make them a fucking sandwich. So I'm avoiding the kitchen. Or I'm avoiding seeing my mom so she doesn't give me a chore. Hope she just forgets about me. I don't have to be in that energy anymore. Leaving my home, leaving my parents' house, leaving that community where I was in the service-oriented role was incredible for me. That was life-changing for me. And not everybody has the opportunity or privilege to be able to follow the path that I followed. But I lived that life, right? I've done that shit. And so I'm going to tell you my fucking story. And maybe it helps. Maybe it helps. Maybe you feel a little more inspired. I think those of us who were parentified as children, because we were clocked in all the time, we're always worried that we're not doing a good job. We're always feeling like we need to have this self-monitoring system happening. Eldest daughters and earth signs, especially Capricorns, always gonna feel like you have this self-monitoring system going all the time. And there are people who don't have that, just so you know. There are people who don't have that. They're just living. So I want you to consider dismantling the manager in your head. I want you to consider dismantling that second speak that you have where you're always checking on yourself because you feel like you need to be checking on something because when you were a kid, you were always checking on something. And maybe just live life, man. just let, I don't want to say just let, so erase that. I wanted to put words today in this video to that particular experience of being parentified as a child and how that affects you as an adult potentially. I wanted to put words to that so you could feel that validation, because I know occasionally it can feel like a bit of a dark cloud over your head out in the world when you are still clocked in from childhood, when you are no longer in that family dynamic, but you're still clocked in. So I hope that this video could validate that feeling for you if it's there, so you can shine some light on it, so you can consider showing up a little differently in your life. Now that you realize why that dark cloud is there. Now that you realize, wow, why it's hard for you to have fun. Now that you realize why you don't want to have kids yet, or you're in no rush to have kids, or it feels so good to be single with no attachments. Now that you realize the connection it has to you being a service-oriented child in the family dynamic, the older sister in the family dynamic. Now that you've realized it, take a deep breath. From this point forward, you can do and be however you want. Now that you realize something, you can look at it. And now that you can look at it, you can separate yourself from it. And if you can separate yourself from it, it's no longer you. So you don't have to pick it back up if you don't want to. If you can look at an aspect of you, if you can realize, if you can look at it, then you have separated yourself from it. If you can separate yourself from it, it means there's something new that's already here inside of you that's ready to go. A new upgraded version of you. All it was waiting to do was to have you acknowledge that it has pushed old behaviors, old ways of thinking, old ways of being out. And so as you ascend, old behaviors, old ways of being, excuse me, old blocks and things like that, repressed emotions, they come up, memories, they come up. Because your new self, your higher vibrational self is pushing them out. And so you just gotta let these things come up and let yourself acknowledge. Separate yourself, say, yes, that did happen. Wow, that did happen. Wow, yeah, indeed. In the past, I get it now. That's an aspect of my past. Oh, that's an aspect. Okay, not my now. And now I choose to try this. Now I choose to show up this way. Now I want to have this experience. Now I want to try these things. Now I'm curious about trying these things. Now I want to learn about those things. So we can let some of those blocks off the heart. We can start to feel a little more lighthearted in our lives, even if we want to continue to be a serious person because you're a Capricorn. Like, it's fine, baby. No one wants you to change your resting bitch face. I just don't want you to feel like you're constantly clocked in every aspect of your life because you were clocked in as a child, because you were parentified, because you were an older sibling. Okay? If you'd like to clock out, please take this as your permission. Bloop. You can clock out, babe. You can clock out and just live life, man. You can clock out. And that's really funny because it's actually now reminding me of an old piece of advice I used to give y'all years ago. I wonder how many years ago this was. Because, I've been doing this for so long. Years ago, people used to ask questions like, what do you do when people come up to you and ask you questions and you don't want to answer? How do you deal with strangers coming up to you? People used to ask me shit like that. And you want to know what I always used to advise? Oh, I don't work here. Oh, sorry, I don't work here. Oh, I don't work here. And you walk away. Excuse me, what are you doing here? Oh, hey, I don't work here. Excuse me, can you help me? Oh, hey, I don't work here. If someone's energy is weird and something is weird, if you don't want to engage with it, you don't fucking have to. You're not 10 years old changing your sibling's diaper anymore and you have no choice. Now you're an adult. You can do whatever you want. Thank you for the confirmation in the comments. Thank you for letting me know that this is helpful. That really means a lot to me. And now I have to go. It's time to go. I love you. Have a great day, okay? Keep taking care of yourself. If If you have other people you got to take care of, I'm sure you're doing a great job. Keep doing that too. But for you, I hope you have a little more relief today. I hope I've given you some more optimism in your outlook. I hope I've brought a little lightness into your heart, a little more hope into your heart, that you might be able to experience life in a way that could be even more satisfying, even more joyous. There are levels of fun and lightheartedness that you yearn to experience, that you have yet to experience, and you can still experience it, okay? So I hope this helps. Oh, you're welcome. I love you, my darlings. Share this video. Please go share my work. It means a lot to me to know that the light codes are reaching everyone that they can help. Amen to new experiences. You're welcome. Bye, my dears.